All right, welcome everybody to Frequently Speaking. I'm your host Maxwellness, and I'm here with lovely Joann and Oswald. Such beautiful family coming here to bring to you guys just a deeper understanding and an introduction into the plant medicine of Huachuma. So without further ado, I'm going to give them a brief introduction, and we're going to start to get into answering some of the questions that maybe you've had. Maybe there's been some fear around it, but also going into the relationship with nature, God, plant medicine, and all of it all together. So let's get into it. Guys, we definitely talked a little bit about how the plant medicine has come about, what the relationship with it is, and I know both of you guys have different lineages. So can you give me like a little bit of an intro of how that lineage has brought you to where you're at now to be serving the amazing medicine of Huachuma?
Thank you, Max.
You first.
Let's see. Okay, so our lineage comes from Ecuador, from the Andes, where the medicine grows. The lineage goes back thousands of years. It comes with these altars that are passed on from Oswald's ancestors, and we have Oswald has come from Ecuador all the way here to serve to the north, and we're also in affiliation with Oclavea Native American Church, which is a Native American church that is part of the Lakotas in Utah, and that's how we've been serving the medicine with the Lakota lineage and also with Oswald's ancestors from Ecuador.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And Peru.
And Peru, right? Yes.
Okay. So for a little bit of that, right, with this understanding, I mean, I also have like a lineage with Lakota as well. So what do you feel like when you say serving into the north, like what is that explanation for people to kind of understand? What does that mean? Like serving, also like the north, what does that mean?
Yeah, well, I can share a little bit about, I guess, it's like there are in many ways all the lands have their people, and so they have their ancestors, their grandfathers. If you see it in the South America, it's the same thing, but it's different. So when we see it in the north, it's the same thing, but it's different. The prayer, a little bit the land, you feel different, different. So we are. I come from South America, and to be here in north is we feel the difference with the land, with the traditions, with the prayers. So like to serve here the medicine from South America, to me is like sharing, sharing the ways how we live life in the South, and at the same time we're also learning the ways of the North. It's like they talk about this prophecy of the condor and the eagle. That they fly together. Now it means the eagle represents the mind, the condor represents the heart. So we are bringing these two prayers together. Once we serve the medicine, the Huachuma, and is the prayer of the family, of the good ways. How to. Because in the north we have a lot of technology, and I feel that is so strong that we get like drunk in this technology and the ways of the north, and we forget about like who we are, nature. So we forget sometimes how to have a relationship, how to be in good relation with nature, So that's why I feel that we feel like disconnected. We feel all these side effects, like it's anxiety, depression, you name it. So by being able to serve the medicine in the north, I feel that we are bringing this memory of how to be in good relation, with everything, with the heart, with the mind. So I feel that's how we're serving the medicine.
Okay.
Yeah,
I feel like what you were just saying just there, like, I mean, I know the directions and I know the prophecy between like the eagle and the condor, but when you just said it in that way of like the mind being in the north of the eagle and the heart being in the south with the condor, and like them flying together, and just your relationship with being here, coming to the north, and also understanding that there is this sharing, but there's like this opening of these two directions and these two birds and this mind and this heart, and how that communication can actually happen. And it's like sometimes that can be spoken to or brought to life by these plant medicines, or just even the action of bringing a tradition and learning the good ways and planting those seeds and being that way here. It was like that just clicked for me of like, oh, like the mind heart coherence, like whoever listens to like Joe Dispenza, he always speaks about that, of like very scientific, of like, oh, you need mind heart coherence to like manifest what you want and all these great things. But it's like that is a very good, like you said, like this technology based thinking of facts and all this stuff. But when you have like those deeper emotional, like you said, like side effects like depression, anxiety, fears, all these anticipatory feelings of like your central nervous system so like heightened all the time, it's like sometimes the facts, when you're speaking into the mind, like it doesn't necessarily resonate with the heart. The heart is like, what is the language that you're speaking to me so that we can fly together? So it's like I hear that in the sense of with this speaking of the condor, right? Like the condor is from the south, yes? Yeah. Okay. And then when you say the eagle is from the north, what is from the east and the west?
From the east and the west.
Uh-huh.
From the east and the west is similar.
Okay.
Because because that's why Europe also brings to the Americas. They bring the technology.
Mm-hmm.
I think they have stories that they are the ones that awaken the metal from the earth, and now we are like everything is metal, like engines and airplanes and cars.
Mm-hmm.
So something happened. They say that they were supposed to be blessed, by the Americas, because in America is like the love, and so Europe came and they took over the north. So in many ways that's it's the same lineage, in a similar to the north and the south too, between the west and the east. That's what is happening today. That all of us are mixing, right? Because all of us have like European now, native and Africa. So in many ways, it's almost the same within the east and the west, where they're bringing. When we talk about like Europe, especially because that's our mix. I feel that. The strongest mix that we have, the technology, like the mind, and like Native Americans and South Americans, they were very connected to the earth. They were, I feel, very comfortable the way they were living. But there was also this other aspect to Mother Earth that was happening over there, and they were the mind very creative, but they were like not too much in the heart.
Okay.
So they've been taken by the mind and all these wonders. At the end, everything is perfect and beautiful. So I feel that now we're just mixing. you know, coming together as a one, because all of us are part of the earth, right? And we are brothers and sisters. So I feel that it's similar to the same prophecy, like the north and the south, the east and the west coming together.
All coming back to like oneness.
Yeah,
sure.
Coming like to love, because I feel like all of us, that's where we come from love. And we are here in the world experiencing and all these wonders, but at the end, that's where we start looking for again love. And that somebody has that knowledge, that wisdom, how to reconnect again, you know, how to remember, how to open our hearts, how to love. And at the end, like also because we forget, and it's like, what is love? So then we see with the medicines, with his grandfathers, and that's what they do. They remind you about love, because the mind can travel like in the matrix so far that the mind forgets like what is love, and then we're wondering why we're not feeling it, because we become so close, right? So like that's what I feel like Huachuma he does with us. He opens our hearts, and then we remember, wow, this is how it feels like to love. And that's it, right?
I felt like you just encapsulated like the experience when you first came to Colombia, when we met, and you're like, I remember you were telling me that you're like, grandfather's gonna remind you what love is, and I was like, okay. And I feel like exactly what you explained, like there's like this separation between the heart and the mind, and it's like you might know what love is, and it's like, you know, I love my kids, I love my family, I love, you know, salmon, I love basmati rice, like whatever type of foods you like, and it's like all of these things that you know that you love, but to give yourself a felt body experience, I feel like that's what a lot of people are separated from. And when we say this sense of like closed, we kind of like limit ourselves to say, oh, like my heart is closed, or like, you know, my chakras are closed, or whatever. And it's like sometimes it's just that remembrance to like crack it open, you know, and to really remind you that it's not closed, you're just separated from it, because you've been telling yourself that you're separated from it. And I felt like with my experience in that, it was like I told you guys this before, like it felt like this seed was already in me, and the grandfather just like kind of like watered it. And it was like the fire spoke to me in that way of like, this is the fire, like the light that is going to start cracking that seed open. I was feeling that thing that was already there. It wasn't like somebody placed it in there, or like, you know, it's like some other drug where you just like, you get put in there and you have like all these chemical reactions. Then when you don't have it, you're like, oh my God, I need it. It was like this thing that was already there, and it was like this energy just came and like touched it and just brought it to life, and it started to grow. And I felt like ever since that day, like there's definitely been a part of me that I knew was there, but now there's light that's in that space, and it's kind of like growing each day. And I know like with other plant medicines, like, you know, with ayahuasca and, you know, yahe and psilocybin and there's like all these different plant medicines that come from the ground, they come from the earth, and even with Huachuma, but Huachuma is a little bit different, right? It's not like a root, it's a cactus, right? So can you give like a little bit of a insight on like how it's growing, or like what the process is? Like, is there prayer? Is it just naturally? Like, what are the experiences of that growth?
Well, I feel like all the plants, they do the same thing, like, but in different ways. They teach you in different ways.
Very different ways.
I feel like a special connection between Huachuma and ayahuasca, because in my experience, Huachuma gets you ready to sit with the grandmother, ayahuasca, because all of them are aspects of you. At the beginning, it feels like it's outside, But little by little, when you start to work with these medicines, you realize that this is all you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they say, like the you know, as above, so below, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, the same thing that is outside is coming from the inside.
Mm-hmm.
In magical ways. So this is where also we start like to walk this path of magic,
Mm-hmm.
because if you try to make sense, it doesn't make sense. Like it goes beyond logic.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always a prayer, you know. The Huachuma grows in nature,
Mm-hmm.
but you can also plant and it grows. Now you can find Huachuma. I hear everywhere you go, like in the world, like people have gone to Israel, Europe, Egypt, and over here, Huachuma is like everywhere now.
Mm-hmm.
But it does come from the Andes.
Okay.
So usually we get it from nature. You know, there are forests of Huachumas, and that's where we pray. You know, we cut, and so that's where everything starts. The way we prepare the medicine, and the way that we prepare ourselves also to serve the medicine, because when you drink the medicines, you're not only drinking like the cactus itself, but you're also drinking whoever is serving you. Mm-hmm. You know, their energy, the way they live in their lives, and how they see life.
Mm-hmm.
And so and so everything is a prayer. Mm-hmm. You know, and for Huachuma and ayahuasca, I feel that is we call them grandfathers. So we are coming to sit with the grandfathers, mm-hmm. and because of that, what they're trying to teach you is like the same thing that you were supposed to learn from your mother, your father, from your grandfathers, physical grandfathers, mm-hmm. which is how to be a good relation, mm-hmm. you know, for yourself, good relation to others, because all of us are trying to live a good life, a happy life. Mm-hmm. We're trying to be, and that's where we find our purpose. You know, like we are on purpose, because I have something in my life. I have my wife, my children. I have I'm part of the earth, mm-hmm. and you feel like you are on purpose. You're fulfilling your destiny. Mm. So that's I feel that and to me, like the prayer of the medicine is the prayer of the family. Mm. And that's why we like to call them grandfathers. You know, some people call them medicines, or like they see them like a tools, mm-hmm. that you can use. Mm. But ultimately they're grandfathers that at the same time they live inside of us, and just like the plants, right? You're born, then there's a process, like you're born, then you grow, then you reproduce, and you die. Mm-hmm. So and so that's like the beauty of also being a human being, the opportunity to be born, you know, to grow in this beautiful planet Earth, to have children, to experience all these blessings that is to be like a father, a grandfather, mm-hmm. and then one day you give thanks and you keep going. Maybe you're gonna be reborn again, or you're gonna be reborn in another place. But so that's, I feel, the prayer of the medicine is like the prayer of the family.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow. Yeah, I felt like so many things came into shape right there, because like I see that too in the ceremony, right? It's like you're making this gesture with these grandfathers, you know, and you know, you can look at it as, okay, it's a plant or it's a cactus or wherever it came from, but connecting to that spirit and that relationship to this, like you said, this version of me, or this aspect in me that is there, that is teaching me something. And I'm going to sit down, you know, with this grandfather and learn and listen and receive. And for me, that has been that kind of understanding that, yes, things may get a little, you know, shaken up, or you might feel a little, you know, oh, like I want to throw up, or like, oh, this is too much, or I need air or whatever. And it's like, sometimes when you're sitting down with your actual like physical grandfather or grandmother and like they're telling you some hard truths, you're like, I don't want to hear this. Like, I want to get out of here, you know? And it's like that experience of like praying for me is really that acceptance and like saying that out and saying like, yes, I am receiving this. I'm receiving this. I'm coming here with empty hands and like, this is what it is. Like, I'm going to receive this. But it's like letting go too of this sense of like, okay, family is not just in the physical, you know, it's in the spiritual, it's in the energetic, it's in the relationship that you have with, you know, the earth, the relationship that you have with, you know, money or people or animals or whatever it is. And it's like, how can we cultivate that relationship? And I feel like that always shows up in ceremony, right? It's like the ceremony is the actual like act, you know, like we have it in person. We say, okay, I have a thought, you know, I want to make a apple pie today. And like you have this thought and you say, okay, well, now I got to get all the things. And it's like you're gathering all the things for the ceremony. Then you start putting it together and like that's the act. And then it's like you put it in there and you do all these things. And at the end, it's like you sit with it. And for me, it's like in that ceremony, in that way, it's like, okay, I have this intention to bring this good relationship, bring this information that I know is not missing from me, but I would like access to it. So yeah, I feel like with this, like you were saying, this aspect of like the masculine and feminine, right? And like how you guys approach the medicine and approach the cactus and approach the plant, but approaching these ancestors really, and like these aspects of ourself, whether if it's coming up and we want to say like, hey, like this is the grandmother and this is kind of like, for me, it feels like creating these like two containers, right? Of like whatever we deem is a masculine trait or like a masculine characteristic or a feminine characteristic, whatever. It's like we can give the mind a concept to like discern it. And I feel like with that approach coming into it, I've noticed that like with drinking Huachuma, it feels like this grandfather, right? And you're sitting there with the father, like you were saying, it's like this groundedness in that masculinity. But then there's these other aspects of, like you were saying, with these misas that you bring to the ceremony, and it's like every time we go through them, and it's always like the water always just gets me. It's just the one that sends me over, and that's like always the second one, right? Yes. But it's like these other aspects. It's like for me as a man experiencing it, I'm like, okay, I'm grounded into this, and like there's this masculine aspect. I'm sitting with this grandfather. But it also shows me these other, what you would call feminine traits of like the beauty, the water, the flow, the prayer, the singing, all these different things through a masculine lens. And it allowed me to see those aspects of myself, like as a man, you know, and it's like you see it in the masculine figure of saying, this grandfather is generous, this grandfather is beautiful, like this grandfather is flowing, this grandfather is patient. And it's like, what? So I feel like with the mesas that you do and you open up these puertas, it's like even if you don't have a connection to fire, water, or whatever, you understand and you learn that connection that you have that's deeply rooted in you, you know, like 'cause we're all the elements. But in that, right, like when you guys go through the mesas, like what is that process and like what is their significance?
Yeah. So these are we call them altars that we open. So and also like you said, doors, portals. And as you mentioned also that we are that fire, the water, the air, the earth. We are them, you know, and they are experiencing themselves through us. So that's why we work with the elements, with the 4 directions, as like to bring a structure to the ceremony. And I feel that that's how the grandfather Huachuma likes it's teach us through the years, how to sit with him. I mean, you can sit with the medicines in different ways, but the way that we do is we like to work with the grandfathers of the East, is the grandfathers of the fire, and so at this time we remember the qualities of the fire, so that the same qualities of the fire can wake up inside of us. It will remind us because we need to remember who we are. The mind needs to remember what we are, what we're doing here, and also I feel that we are at the beginning of something, of this path, and what the fire has to teach us, what the fire has to also remind us, So I feel that there is so much the fire has to teach us. So that's why we like to open this dimension, this door, and the same way like with the water, we are at 70% water. So I feel that we have so much to learn from the water, so much to remember, I should say, because 70% of us is this prayer. So we just remembering how to be like that, like the water, and so many qualities, like the way she flows, the way she's so nourishing. We drink water and gives life. She's so powerful and so gentle at the same time. And I feel that even in this planet, we are surrounded by water, even though we don't see it. But with the medicine, you start to see that we're inside the water.
Yeah.
Breathing air, yes, but we are still under in the water. Like how we come from our mother's belly inside the water, we come over here. We are still surrounded by water, and it's feminine. So to me, my experience, I feel when we open the altars of the water, I feel very, very loved. I feel very and I guess I also feeling how to be like that, like so gentle, how to be, because she's our mother, and I feel that I through all my life I was very connected to that mother figure in my life. So I feel very welcome, very supported, and then we open the altar of the air, right? So then we remember how to breathe. We give thanks for that. Then we open the altar of the south, which is where the earth is there, and we are remembering now how to love. She reminding us this ancient prayer of love, and also reminding us that we are her prayer of love. So grandfather allows us to receive the medicine in this way, as reminding us how we are them. We are their prayers, in these magical ways. And with the medicine, we also are able to pray for us to remember that we are them, and we're able to honor them by the way how we live our lives. And that's what I feel that they're teaching us how to be in good relation. It always comes down to this prayer of the good ways, how to be in good relations, so that we can, because that's what we like. We like good things. Right? Sometimes we like to go try the bad things, but there's for a little bit, and then we realize that we don't like it, and we learn what we need to learn, and we come back to the good feelings, the smiles. We come back to the good thoughts, positive thoughts, and that's this mystery also of this path of this medicine. Also learning not to judge the other side of life, being able to to take whatever we need to take, and we come back and we apply it to our lives. Yeah. What about you, Ma?
Yeah, I think I like the fact that that Max was saying that grandfather was teaching him, a hug. Those are the seeds. Those are the seeds that we're looking for, because we're all looking for that connectedness to each other. So we're planting the seeds of like smiling. It's medicine, and like singing, dancing, and so many different seeds that we're planting, and we're learning to let go of those seeds, like anger, which we carry inside, and some of those seeds are passed on from our parents and also from the collective, right? Because we're part of the collective. We're individually, but we're so affected by all our collective consciousness. And so we're learning to drop those seeds of like anger and impatience that have been passed on. And we're learning to awaken to new seeds, which are the seeds that we're liking. Like, being connected to the earth and being connected to our hearts to say, I love you. And then those people who are stronger with those seeds have a duty, like you said, to pass on to the others, that's what they're looking for, to elevate themselves too. And so that we can all have a better life and, be more responsible, like you said, for ourselves and also for our families and for everybody that we come across, like give a smile. They're looking for that. They just don't know how to bring it out. But since you've learned already with grandfather, the importance of that, you say, okay, now grandfather gave me homework. There could be like a beacon of light for others.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like there's so much like connection in that, like with these different things, right? Like as I pick up along the way, I see myself, okay, I'm going on this journey, and whatever tools I pick up, great, but if somebody comes along this path, like how can I share that? And even in that, right, like you take that word responsibility, and it's like, for me, I see it as do I have the ability to respond to this person? If I meet somebody on the street, like, do I have the ability to smile at them? Some people really don't, because it's like, I don't really feel that inside. So when am I going to put on a fake smile? Hey, and that's kind of what we experience like throughout the day. Like, you're at work, or, you're in school, or you're walking down the street, or you're on the subway, and it's like, and it's like, where's that visceral feeling, of, I'm so happy right now. I'm happy to see you, and it's like, you can have that ability. And I feel like that happens a lot, like what you said, like with these seeds, right? And just like what you were saying of, the cactus being up here, right? Like in the Andes and being at this high elevation, and there's different frequencies up there. It's not down here on ground level where the cities are at, and there's so many people and 5G towers and chemicals and pollution and cars and blah, 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 all the noise that's down here. It's like, sometimes that is what nourishes those deeper seeds that we have that have been passed on, whether it be anger, guilt, shame, whatever these things are. And that can limit those abilities, which, sometimes puts people in those anxious states or those depressive states, or, you're blocking yourself or you're limiting yourself. And there's that mind and that heart, you're down here in the mind, but that heart frequency is up here. And it's like, relating to that medicine in those ways, you start to, the way I see the altars is like, it's those steps, like each one is just paso a paso, paso a paso. And then you understand that that's the quality of the relationship, and for me, it's like, you don't, like you said, with this slowing down of time, right? And, we start ceremony at 7:00 and we don't end until like maybe 9:00 in the morning. And I feel like it just happened like that, because it's like paso a paso, but I'm not thinking about the number of steps. I'm not thinking about the minutes. I'm not thinking about the hours. I'm not thinking about anything else. It's like, I'm completely out of my mind and just in that heart, and understanding the quality of each step, of each altar, of each song. And it's like that understanding and bringing that frequency in, it like, you start to understand that dissolving of that anxiety, that dissolving of the depression. Like, you're not thinking about all the things that, brought me down. You're just like there, and you're receiving that hug. Like when somebody gives you a hug, you're just like I'm here. Like, oh man, like, wow, I needed that. I didn't know I needed that warmness, or I didn't feel. And I feel like there's so much that comes in the communication with the relation, right? And it's like outside of the elements, like I'm very connected to the elements in that way, and I always see them as like a manera. But I feel like that fifth element, you know, and like I learned this year being in Colombia, was like that relation, you know. It's like, how do you relate to things? And I feel like so many of us are in the process of the elements, whether we know it or not. It's like, you know, you have the air and it comes in, like the thought or the word that comes in, and like you sit with it, and like that's the water. And this is a completely different, you know, process of the elements. But you know, you baptize that thought or that idea, and then you create like an emotion, like there's the fire, and then you go to doing, and like that's the earth, and you do it, and then you just do it all over again, and you wait for the thing to come in. And it's like, that's kind of like, you know, at work or school or the subway, it puts you in this mechanical thing of just being in a cycle. But you miss that part of like, after I do it, how do I relate to it? And you come back to that center and like receive all of it. And I feel like in this experience with the plant medicines and understanding like, okay, there's this masculine, there's this feminine, there's this root, there's this frequency, whatever it may be, like however it wants to express through me, it's ultimately for, you know, my limpiando, like my cleaning, you know. And it's like, whatever things that if I'm living down here in the city and I have those seeds that have been in me, how have those seeds been nourished? And to also like open up that forgiveness for yourself to say, I didn't plant these seeds here. Like I didn't nourish these things, whether they're down there or my mom didn't, my dad didn't. It's not like they did it on purpose, you know, and it's not like they did it with an intention, you know. And yes, there are some people that are just ill-mannered people, and that happens, but it's also like, I feel like that's a part of that responsibility, that you have that conscious choice to say, okay, I'm going to go sit with this medicine and sit with this grandfather and sit with these altars and like learn more, because in this learning, I'm earning something that is already a piece of myself that I feel that may have been disconnected, or I feel that I haven't, you know, have made a part of me yet, or whatever that aspect of like that seeking mentality is. It's like, it's already there. And like you said, it's like this remembering, you know. And I feel like something that you said before about like the grandfather having this presence of, yes, a hug, and yes, this love, but it's like, what it sounds like to me is like these deep familial connections that sometimes we don't necessarily experience here. And like you keep speaking about this, like the good relation or like the good way. And then it's also like, how do some people relate to that goodness, you know? And I feel like sometimes when you have that wondering, right, or you have that curiosity of, okay, like there's something deeper here. There's something deeper than what my purpose is of being at work, or, you know, teaching, or, you know, whatever people do. It's like, how do I relate to this thing that I'm actually doing in this world, you know? And like, for me, I see like you guys doing this, right? And it's like, this is just, I'm connected to my purpose. I'm connected to love. I'm connected to source. I'm here with this medicine, and this is what it is, you know? So it's not like, you know, you're serving a bunch of different medicines and you're just like, yeah, it's everything. And it doesn't sound or like feel messy or distracted. It's like centered and still and calm. And I feel like that part is also the medicine as well. Like, you know, I've been honored enough to sit in you guys' ceremony, and the way that you speak about the medicine of saying, okay, like we present it as a male, but then there's like this feminine aspect that's around it, and all these qualities that you may deem feminine. It's like you guys embody that, you know, and you bring that to the ceremony. So it's like for people to have that container created, and then also feel it internally, like with the medicine, but then also have that correlation outside that it's there, and it's like your body's feeling it, and it's like, wow, like you really feel like it's that spiritual arm wrapping around and like the physical arm wrapping around and just giving you a hug in the ceremony, you know? But in that lineage, right? And you have this whole process that you guys have been through, and the connections to the altars and the connections to the elements and the connections to the Lakota and the directions and the prophecies, all of those things, right? Like when a person is interested or even like curious about that, what are some of the things that you kind of, let's say, encourage people to look for or ask for before they sit with a grandfather?
I feel that everybody will benefit from the medicine. Mm-hmm. But even though it's for everybody, that doesn't mean that everybody is willing to sit with the medicine, right? Mm-hmm. So it's important that we are curious. Mm-hmm. Like this feeling of curiosity, this feeling of we have to be like willing to learn. There has to be also a feeling of like openness, mm-hmm. you know, because there is always something to learn. Mm-hmm. So also willing like to trust, because once we especially when we see with the medicine, we need to trust, because the medicine takes over you and you have to surrender. Mm. So, and then people also, we have like different reasons why. And something that I want to say is that these medicines can teach us in ways that nobody can teach us. Mm-hmm. Like no human being, no. We are learning from our experiences, but the medicine come and they make us understand. They make us they open our eyes, our feelings, so that we'll be able to really understand why we're here. You know, why what's our purpose, or because also as human beings, sometimes I feel that we life has like no mercy, because life can only give us whatever we're sending out, and it comes back to us. And sometimes we feel like life is like being unfair with us, mm-hmm. because it could be so much, but we don't realize that we are sending it out. We're calling it. Mm-hmm. So I feel that like a way to prepare to receive the medicine, we just have to be open. Mm-hmm. You know, we have to be curious. And then the medicine comes and it gives us like exactly what we need, and mm-hmm. then we understand it why. We also sometimes we don't know what we want, which mm-hmm. We were talking about before. The medicine can give you like a lot of clarity, mm-hmm. you know, like on how you want to live your life, or like what is it that you're looking for, because mm-hmm. we don't even know sometimes what we're looking for. Mm-hmm. It's because we are like so distracted, because there's so many things. Yeah. There is money, there is fame, there is health, there is you name it. Mm-hmm. So I guess because there's so many choices that at the end we're just confused, and we always forget that it's all about like a good life.
We live in a fear base because of all the seeds that we have from thousands of years. Mm. But the grandfathers are very gentle. Mm-hmm. So all the fears that we have is in our minds. Mm-hmm. The medicine's just teaching us about ourselves. And if we come with that intention, we're going to get so many gifts. He's known as the most generous out of all plant medicines. And he gives gifts all night. It's like at the end, you're smiling. You're like, I can't believe I'm having the opportunity to really see myself from like 1,000 perspectives. Mm-hmm. and he gives literally 10 hours of gifts, and people leave with a smile. Like 99.9 of the people are like, I just learned things that the biggest university can't teach me. It's Mother Earth teaching you and giving you her gifts. You're part of it, and she's gonna call you when you're ready, and when you really want to see the magic of life, because we have forgotten that this is all pure magic, how it came about. And if we're ready to know, then we're like, that instinct tells us, you know, let me see. So many people are sitting with these medicines, and it's the time. The prophecy is for us to be more conscious beings.
Right.
Be more generous to each other. And that's what these medicines are about. And to experience love, like true love. Because we're all looking to be loved. And that's what we're creating, you know, all these opportunities at the end to walk around being in love with our life and enjoy this. And that's what these medicines offer in every level. So.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that, because like just leaving there, it's like, even if I can't even say that. No, it doesn't matter what you experience. Even if you cried all night, even if you purged all night, it's like, you just leave so happy, because it's like, I think that's an understanding of like how we value information, right? It's like, yeah, you can go get your master's degree and blah, blah. You don't graduate like, you're like graduating and you're happy because it's like, this is over. I'm done, you know? Yes. But it's like leaving there, it's like, I just received all of these, it's like Christmas, you know? It's like you get all of these things that you find value in because you've remembered it from yourself. It's like this thing that was here, and it's like, oh my God, I didn't know that was there, you know? And it's like, wow. And you place this, for me, like what I also have experienced, like from other people too, and like sharing their experiences, it's like this, I forgot, this one woman said to me, she was like, basically like she found a value in herself that she wasn't valuing herself, you know? And she was just like, the things that I saw, I remember, that's what she said, I remembered how valuable I am. And I was just like, you know, and it's like this thing that we experience out in the world that it's so subtle because we're so distracted. We're on this level in like our central nervous system. And like, that's a lot of the work that I do with working in the physical body with, whether it be through kinesthetics or somatics, and getting people to kind of like down regulate their system, like that's happening on a physiological level. And it unlocks a lot of certain things, but it's like also the practical things. But the deeper set things is like, you have to go into that. But there's a lot of times where I don't have time for that. I got to go pick up my kids, or I got to go to work, or I got to get sleep, or I got to meal prep, or I got to do that. And it's like, you have so many things to do, and you get stuck in that doing that you never like come back into that emotional, be like, okay, well, how am I doing these things? You know, like, how am I going about my day? Am I going about it rushed? Am I actually like valuing the things that I'm doing? And when I was like hearing that, it's like, okay, like when we're in that state of, you know, overwhelm or anxiety, whatever you want to call it, then everything that you create is going to be from that. So it's like, I'm not really thinking about those lower level things of, damn, like I don't really value myself right now because I'm accepting this, or I'm going to do this, or I'm trading my time for this, or, you know, I let that thing, you know, just sit on me, and I'm not paying attention to those seeds that are anger or guilt or whatever these dense seeds are, and I'm just nourishing them because, you know, I'm eating like crap, or I'm eating because like I don't want to feel this emotion, or whatever you're doing to like cover up something. And it's like, I feel like that's what the medicine does, is like that, even like that first altar of the fire, it's like all the lights come on and you just see everything. Yeah. And sometimes when I experience like people purging with the fire, it's like because you see these things that are inside of you, and whether you want to get them out, and it's like, oh my God, it's so disgusting. It's like, I got to get all this. And it's like, whatever it is, it's like you see it, you know? And it's like, those are the parts of the elements that are inside of us, is like, can we actually light that flame to see all of these things that we have yet to see, whether they be good, whether they be bad, whatever the judgment is. And also like that second step of like that water, and like feeling into the emotion that's there, and like allowing those things to flow, and allowing it to like clean out and just move and like allow yourself to, like you said, it's like that surrender. But how difficult is that sometimes? And how difficult is it to go in and trust this thing that is just going to take over and be like, sit down, you're going to receive all of these lessons. And it's like, it's difficult to do that, you know, because most of the time we don't do that during the day.
No.
We can't even do that with other people, let alone ourselves. Yeah. And then, you know, you have that aspect of like the air to just like sit and breathe through it. Because once you surrender, I don't know, whoever's listening to this is like, if you have not really got the process of truly surrendering, it's like you have to breathe. You have to breathe, because that feeling of being in control by letting go of control is like, it's like a, you know, it's a paradox. Yeah. It's like you really have to let go of everything and know that I, like the deeper I, is in control. Yeah. And it's like, ah! So you have to breathe and like come back to that rhythm and, you know, be with that. And then also, yeah, like that's why I love these senses of the altars, because even at the end, you know, and especially like when you guys bring out the flowers and it's like that. I remember the first one, it was just like my grandmother was super present in that one. I just remember like taking that scent of the flower in and just like giving it to her and like wrapping her in it and like hugging her with this like beauty and this scent and this like that, you know, the essence of the flower. And it was like taking that thing that's out here in the physical world and like giving that to her spirit. And that connection was like, you know, because she was a very like a deep energy from like, you know, resentment and like guilt and anger and like all these things. And that scent of like the petals and just me like rubbing them all on me, it was just like, it's like, you're going to get this beauty, you're going to get this love, and like, just take it. And like you said, with this smile, it's like, that's the part of like how we can bring that into our body. And like, I feel like that's what the medicine does, is like, it allows you to feel that felt body experience of whatever is present there for you, you know, and whatever lesson that you have. And like you said, like, you're never going to know it and then be like, I got it, I've mastered it. It's like, no, you're going to learn something completely different. And I think that's a part of like that understanding of where some people can feel overwhelmed about that, because there's, when you really truly understand that you are infinite, it's like you said, like all of those possibilities is like, well, what do I do? You know, but rather than looking at all of those possibilities and being confused and distracted, it's like seeing all the possibilities and saying, I'm going to go into this in love, and I'm going to be in love with this. And yeah, I feel like that says so much about it. And I think you guys do such an amazing job in creating like that container in that space. And even what you were just saying, just from you being in that South, and like, I see this sense of like that prophecy of like, even you coming here and sharing and opening that puerta, it's the same way of bringing that mind and that body, that mind and that heart into coherence and into that harmony, and just allowing that love to flow through however it may happen, you know? So, yeah, like this was a part of why I wanted to sit down and hear a little bit about you guys' story and have you guys share that love and like your connections to it, and just even like a little bit of the process, so that people can kind of get a better idea of what that curiosity is and like have some of those questions answered, because we don't deserve to be living in that fear-based, you know, mentality or having those seeds. It's like having access to that other seed and like knowing that people are here to support, and that you are held, and, you know, whatever questions or any concerns or any of these things that you may feel like are holding you back are answered already, you know. And it's like, you're already in love, but like, how can we remember that? So yeah, thank you guys so much. Thank you. Absolutely.
Thank you, Max, for the opportunity to share and send a message, and for creating the space and for bringing your energy, you know.
Absolutely.
We're so grateful.
Yeah,
for you.
Yeah,
as am I.
Thank you, Bob. I
thank
love you.
Oh, you too.
And so happy that we have met you, you know, in Colombia, and and you were like, I'm from New York, and we were like, what, you know? And how life also like bring we're like magnets, and how we like come together, like in magical ways. So Yeah, we're very grateful. Thank you for the
opportunity. I thank you as well, just for even sharing the medicine, sharing the love and the stories, and opening up this in me, you know, because everything has shifted since then. Absolutely. And I'm excited and exhilarated for what is to come, you know, in the future. So thank you so much, and thank you guys for listening in. If you guys have any questions about it, I'm going to send all of their information and the links in the bottom and the info. You can reach out to me if you have any questions, but I hope this gave you a little bit more insight, a little bit more connection to these different relationships that you are definitely curious about, because you listened to this thing all the way to the end. So without further ado, ciao. Much blessings and so much love.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, that's great, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, my leg is asleep. But